Alison Lucan directs traffic on a very excellent podcast called Too Many Men with Shayna Goldman and Sarah Sivian. She is also on the Kraken Hockey Network. She happens to cover the Seattle Kraken and the Seattle Torrent of the Professional Women's Hockey League. The Kraken are currently fighting for that last wild card spot in the West, and things are a bit daunting. Seattle right now are at 5-on-5 offensively, way below average in the league right now in your major stat categories. I mean, they're not even getting shots, not even shot attempts. I'm not talking shot on goals. It's pretty difficult for them to get shots right now. In fact, the scoring has gone down since last year at 5-on-5, but they're still in this. So, is the defense and goaltending keeping them in?
Well, thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, I mean, this is Lane Lambert comes in as a new head coach this year. And if you look back at what he does with teams, this is it, right? It's solid goaltending, which the Kraken have had a lot of, and then strong defensive performance in your own end. And then you have to quick change and get that puck moving north and try and get offensive chances. You're not wrong, Roy. It's a weird stat team, right? And again, it begs the question of all that we can't measure with what we see publicly, because they've been outshot all year. Like, that's just their calling card. But what they have done is kept more of those dangerous shots against out of the equation, right? So they kind of protect those dangerous areas of the ice. But what you said is exactly it, is that they don't shoot a lot. They don't get goals a lot. The power play was performing a lot better before the Olympic break. And we all know what a difference maker that can be for this team. And this is a team that has to work really hard, and everyone has to be pulling on the same rope to get wins. That's just who they are right now. And they're pretty honest about that. So when pieces don't all click, or if a part of the game is slumping, or if there's, a big mistake that allows for a chance against, it's going to be hard for them. And I think it's hard for this fan base, because going into this season, ownership, leadership was very clear that the goal was just to make the playoffs. That's where this group is right now. And I think if you had said to a lot of fans going into this season, hey, there's going to be meaningful hockey in late March and April, they would have been thrilled based on what's happened the previous 2 years. But then you get a taste, right? And so you're so close. At one point, you were first in the division. The division is a pillow fight, as we're all calling it now. So you're so close. And so now it's maybe more of a missed opportunity, even though realistically, I think this team has done a lot better than what was expected going into the year.
So Seattle's got just one win in their last 8, and going back to the beginning of that run, they held a wild card spot before going on this little downward stretch. Kind of a two-part question, because I've been really pleasantly surprised that Philip Grubauer is having a much better season than I would have thought, with his .911 save percentage and 2.58 goals against, which is pretty decent, I think. But what is it going to take? Is it a goaltending thing? Is it, like Roy said, is it a scoring thing? Like, what is it going to take for them to kind of get out of this little funk and get back into the playoff race before it's too late?
Yeah, and definitely, stick taps to Grubauer. He's been excellent in a year where across the league we're experiencing an all-time low average save percentage across all goaltenders, and particularly after last year, where this is a guy who gets sent down to the AHL over, the Four Nations break, doesn't even get to take a vacation, and just bucks up and puts in the work. He's been playing more regularly, and I think there's some tactical changes to his game. He won't share those, but he's been excellent, and I think he deserves more accolades than he's getting. Some nights he's been the better goaltender than Joey Daccord has been, and that's with all due respect to Joey Daccord as well. But to the nut of the thing, right, is how do they get back? It's interesting, and you guys have seen championship teams, right? And you have seen how things amp up and things change this time of year when the hockey gets more meaningful. And it's interesting, a guy you all know well, Brandon Montour, you can see him like gearing up. The team was just down there in Florida, and they have a comeback almost win. They get a point against the Florida Panthers. They're able to beat Tampa Bay. And it was in games like that I saw players like Montour say, we know what time it is and we know what we have to do, right? Chandler Stevenson, another guy who has multiple cups, does the same thing. Philip Grubauer, another guy. Even young Matty Beniers is a player who I see really challenging himself to meet the moment. And I say this not to diss the team totally, like they're not a weak group by any means, but they're struggling with meeting the moment. And this slide now, like last night, they play the Utah Mammoth. That's a game that I would not have guaranteed for the Kraken. That's a game that you maybe, if you get 1 point, you're good with it. The problem is this lack of being able to meet the moment and maybe win some more of the games that you should win hasn't happened. And that's been part of this skid. As you said, they come out of the break in a wild card. They play 2 games against Nashville in quick succession, a team that's behind them in the standings and can't get a single point. So they give them basically 2 4-point swing games, right? So they've given up games that should have maintained that position to allow for maybe some of the tougher matchups. And now they're in a really tough stretch schedule-wise. So it's about bucking up. I do not go downstairs after games, just given my role, but I'm hearing there was a players-only meeting after the game, and this is gut check time. These guys have to find a way to meet the moment, be it because they haven't been in this moment before, or maybe there are some young players who are learning what these moments are all about. I don't think it's for a lack of want or care, but more guys need to step up, maintain confidence, step up their game, pull everyone into the fight, and give that 10% more that it takes if you really want to be a team that makes it out of the regular season.
Well, you mentioned the schedule, and it seems like this week is make or break. This one might actually decide the season. If you can get past Chicago coming up, you have the Jets, which is the team directly in front of you right now. And then you have the Wild and the Golden Knights. So let's talk about how important this next week up is coming up for keeping pace and potentially overtaking some teams.
Yeah.
I totally agree, Roy. I think it's spot on. I mean, that is what this schedule does, right? Is it puts you in a position. I have said this coming out of the break. This group is going to get what they deserve. So if they can meet the moment and get 1-2 points from at least 2 of those big matchup games. And honestly, I think they can, right? Like the Wild are not going gangbusters right now. Vegas, to me, they're in a playoff spot, obviously, but they don't look like the world beaters they've looked like a lot of years, right? And their goaltending is suspect at best. So there is opportunity. These are games where points can be taken, but it's up to the Kraken to say, we're going to do everything we have to do and everything we can do to try and get those points. And that hasn't happened every single night.
So one thing I want to ask you about Seattle kind of as a whole, it's year 5 in Seattle. We've seen them kind of around a playoff. We've seen them in the playoffs once. But I feel like this is a team that's never made a big splash, not yet. And that's no disrespect to Brandon Montour, who we love down here, or Chandler Stevenson, or Capo Caco, or Oliver Bjorkstrand, who's been great in Seattle. But they haven't made that big deal yet. And you could argue they might be like that one big star away from really getting over the hump. Do you foresee that coming this summer, Alison?
Yeah, I think this is a team that wants to be in those kind of conversations, right? I mean, there's a new general manager, Ron Francis, elevates to president of hockey operations over the summer. Jason Bottrell is now the leader. And this sense of urgency, you can feel it in the front office from the hockey side, and that there's constant, I'm not in the discussions, obviously, but you can feel the drive to be better and to improve the team. And, there were reports, again, I cannot confirm them personally, but there were reports from trusted resources that the Kraken were trying to be in the conversation for Artemi Panarin. Nice. Do I think that was necessarily going to happen? No, but I like the signaling of it, right? I like the organization stepping up and saying, hey, we want it to be known that for great players, we'll pay you top dollar. And particularly with the UFA class looking like it is right now, and with the cap going up, if you're a team that has money to spend, which the Kraken do, and Washington is a no-tax state, is there an opportunity for them to attract a bigger name to come in and, to your point, be part of the difference making? Because we all know this, and you guys have seen it in Florida, right? The way you win championships is you have at least a number 1 defender, a number 1 forward, and a number 1 goaltender. And they're still pieces away from that. They've got some great pieces, but they're still a way away from that. But I think they do absolutely want to be in those conversations, and they're not afraid to go into them as well.
Let's talk about the pillow fight that is the Pacific Division.
I love that.
It's insane.
It's the weakest by far of the 4 divisions in the league. I mean, it's obviously the weakest. And Seattle is 14-7-1 against the division. Like, It's been the saving grace so far this season, right?
Yep. It's crazy, right? And I think that's, again, part of the emotional reaction to what's happening with the Kraken. Because again, if you look at what was expected and what this team is doing even right now, there's so much to be impressed by based on what expectations were. But this year in particular, with the division being what it is, this was such a great opportunity, right? To continue to hold on to a playoff spot and continue to thrive off your divisional opponents. Like, it's been crazy to watch, one day San Jose's in, then everyone's like, oh, there's no way they're going to be back in. Now they're in again. Anaheim, honestly, never would have expected them to be first in the division, and good for them, I guess. I don't know what they'll do in the postseason, but the opportunity lost if the Kraken can't find a way back into a playoff spot, I think is what's going to be the most frustrating part, because no team, even including Vegas and until recently, maybe Edmonton, even seems to have that killer instinct, right? There's no oh no, we're going in against those guys, it's going to be awful, because no one's really stepping up in that kind of way in the division this year.
The PWHL, and you cover the expansion Seattle Torrent, it's been a tough first year for them, and they are at the bottom of the league as they finish up the regular season here. Talk about how the season has gone for the Torrent, and not just what went wrong. Is there any silver lining to what's happened so far this season going into next season?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it's awesome to have hockey coming to the West Coast on the women's side. It's been here on the men's side, so this is great. If you start with the positives, right now, I think this is going to be broken this weekend at Madison Square Garden, and that's amazing. But right now, Seattle has set the U.S. attendance record for a women's hockey game twice in this season, 17,000 plus in a building. And I think just seeing the reception for this team and this game is huge. And I think that's incredible. If you look at why this team isn't performing where maybe people thought, and, you can lump Vancouver into this booth too, because there were people who looked at the rosters these two expansion teams got and said, oh man, they're going to be, world beaters. They're going to be at the top of everything. It's been a lot both on and off the ice. And I've learned a lot more than I thought I knew about the demands of an Olympic iteration, right? Because you have all of these players who are not sure if they're going to make the team. Are they going to make the team? On the women's side, we have the rivalry series. So there are long breaks where these national team candidates are stepping away from their PW team and going to play for their country, US and Canada, to kind of warm up for the Olympics. So there's disruption to the schedule. There's mental work going on of will I, won't I? And then the reaction if you do or you don't. And then there's these huge breaks, not just because of the Olympics, the rivalry series, but also travel. This is the first time this league has had West Coast travel. I think they're learning a lot about that. And then most significantly, you look at their roster and two of their top players, Hillary Knight, Captain America, and Hannah Bilka, who's also was on Team USA, both suffer long-term injuries that keep them out for, Hannah's out for the season, and Hillary just came back for her first game since the Olympics. So that's been a struggle. They've been looking for depth to step up, and that has been a struggle for them. They're finding their way. But the other good silver lining is and one of the things I love about the PW is that once you are eliminated, you go into what's called the gold plan. So once you're eliminated, as many points as you earn improves your draft status. So you still have reason to win. You still have reason to compete for points. And the PW has a 3-2-1 point system. So a regulation win is 3 points, overtime or shootout win 2, overtime shootout loss is 1, and then regulation loss is 0. So you can make big jumps with just one win. For the Torrent on the playoff side, that's going to be hard. But if they can get it together, if they don't make it into the playoff consideration, the gold plan really sets them up for what is some incredible talent. And for people who watch the Olympics, you saw KK Harvey, Layla Edwards, players who can be difference makers and help this group have hopefully a better second year.
The gold plan sounds like a credit card.
Yeah, no, that's exactly where I was going next. Just looking at the talent coming out this year and knowing that even if the gold plan doesn't work out perfectly for Seattle and they don't end up with the top pick, they're still going to end up with a really, really good woman on their roster next year. So you have to think that silver lining wise, between the influx of talent that's probably going to be coming, a more regulated schedule next year without the Olympic disruptions and everything, that there's got to be some excitement. And then when you add to that the fact that they've had ridiculous attendance numbers and that the fan base has embraced this team so much, I imagine the excitement level is pretty high considering the kind of season they've had.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle's been amazing about women's sports. We have basketball, obviously, with the WNBA. We have professional women's soccer. We have professional women's hockey. And everyone's just so happy they're here. And I think obviously with everything that went on at the Olympics, this is a part of the country that really wants to rally around women and say, we see you, we support you, we celebrate you. I thought that particularly Hillary being the leader of that team on the ice, and then just the incredible poise and leadership she has shown since everything went down has just further galvanized this fan base, and they love coming out. And I think they saw the Olympics. Maybe more people watch the Olympics, right? Because now they have a P-Dub team in their town as well. And so they can see that talent coming up. So there's excitement for that.
And with the NBA potentially coming back to Seattle, that city right now is rocking. So it's a great time in Seattle. Alison, you can find her on Too Many Men, and you can find her on the Kraken Hockey Network. Thank you for joining us, Alison.
I appreciate you guys so much for having me. Have a great day.